Okay, so when Drew asked me to present a keynote, I was honored. I am still am, so thank you for trusting in me. One of the things that I have been meaning to share with the community at some point, and I didn't know how to or where to do that, is to talk about the Django Fellowship. Many times I have said, or I have heard people say, I am a Django Fellow. What is a Django Fellow? What is the fellowship? And that's a very fair question and a very good question. And it's, in fact, a question that I also had when I applied to the Django Fellowship. So in this presentation, I'm going to try to address what the Django Fellowship is, and I will try to share the importance of the fellowship. Hopefully by the end of this talk, you will understand what it is and why it's important and what we can do as a community to keep supporting that program. Okay. I am Natalia. I'm also known as Nesita. I'm a Django Fellow. We're going to cover in a while what that is. Since April last year, I am a computer scientist. I am a fan of Python and Django all the way. There is a theme in this talk, which is about Lord of the Rings. It's not because I am a super fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm going to explain a little bit about why I chose that theme. Even though I'm not a fan, and I have watched the movies many years ago when they came out, by then I was way younger and perhaps naive. So Nesit is actually my elf name. So you will say I'm a super fan, but I am not. But I really liked the movies. Why did I choose that theme? Is because in Spanish, so many words in English have like a direct translation to Spanish, which is my native language. But fellow, there is no direct translation, nor fellowship. So there are other words that you can use to signify that meaning. Some words that translate directly to member or membership or colleague or yeah. But fellow itself is not a word. So in general, when you have, at least with the people that I usually hang with, or in the tech environment that I work with in Argentina, where I started my career, fellow is not a word I use. In fellowship is not a word I use. But the only moment that we're familiar with the word fellowship is when Lord of the Ring came out, because the first movie is called The Fellowship of the Ring. So every time I see someone of my friends, my family, I am a Django Fellow now. Oh, it's a Lord of the Ring thing? No. No, it's, and I started explaining. So, but my sister, friends, and it was like, I am part of the Django Fellowship program. Oh, you're a Frodo? And up there. Sure. So when I say, okay, how I'm going to present the Django Fellowship, well, of course, I need to use the Lord of the Ring as the theme for. So about this talk, how I'm going to present it is that I'm going to split it in 4 parts. The first part is an introduction. I will try to be objective about describing the fellowship. Then I'm going to give an also fairly objective description of the task that we do. And then I'm going to go into the extremely subjective part, which is the juicy bits, about my view and my experience and my definition of what is a fellow, what do we do, and then when I will have some call to actions to help with the program. This disclaimer slide. Thank you, team. Where are you? Yes. In Lord of the Rings, there are a lot of characters. There is the good, the evil, the good characters, the bad characters. I don't mean to draw any parallelism between that and Django, a community, the fellowship, or anything. So there is no Sauron, there is no one ring to rule them all. But I've been trying to use images from the movie and concepts in order to keep you hopefully engaged and eager to know what is next. And hopefully you will laugh as well. So, the Django Fellowship, what it is. So if you go to djangoproject.com, you will see that the DSF has built this amazing description of what the Django Fellowship, the fellowship program is. It's a project where paid contractors are engaged to manage some of the administrative and community management tasks of the Django project to support paid, rapid development of Django itself. It's a great definition. He will say that everything is great, it's lovely, it's green, it's tidy up, it's colorful. Oh yeah, this is amazing. This is the best program ever. Then in the same website, you will have, this is in the donation page, you will have a description of what, a few more details about the Django Fellowship program. It will say that it has a major positive impact on Django. It mentions the Django Fellows, but we don't know what it is. So the Django Fellows triage tickets, they review and merge PRs, they fix and take care of release blockers and severe bugs. They also actually perform the releases and ensure that you have all those things available for you to use. So what is a Django Fellow? I mean, because that is not said anywhere in the site. And when the fellow word doesn't ring a bell to you, it's like, what is it? So from the site as well, you can see that the simplest definition, or I don't know, is a full or part-time contractors. So the fellows, we are people that get paid by the Django Software Foundation using donation money. This is something that Jacob addressed and explained a little bit yesterday. The past fellows are Berker, Tim, Carlton, and Marius. And the current fellows is Sarah, who's here, and myself. Okay, so everything is very objective, I will say, so far. And then we have, so I still haven't said what a Django Fellow is. So I say, how do you explain this to you? So, okay. AI is so hype, everyone is asking to Claude and ChatGPT things. Let's ask ChatGPT what a Django Fellow is. And he says this: individuals who are highly experienced and contribute significantly to the Django community, focusing on key areas like development support, promoting the Django framework. Sure. So you will say, sorry. I look like this, right? Can you see the resemblance? Yeah. Okay. So then I tried to gather another definition, and I have Carlton here. Carlton was was one of my mentors. Carlton retired, and I stepped in as a Django Fellow, so you can say I'm his continuation or something like that. So he's a mentor. And many times he has said, you are in charge. You run the show. I'm like, wow, as a fellow, we trust your judgment. So this is me, Yeah. Again, can you see the resemblance? I just changed my hair, but it's like that. So when Carlton said this, I felt so empowered, so powerful, And then, well, at some point, Marius retired, Sarah joined as the continuation of Marius, let's say. And Sarah has been a fellow for 6 months now, so we've been going through a lot of mentorship and onboarding and explaining a lot of things that the fellows do. And we chat a lot, of course, thankfully. And Sarah has this amazing quality of being able to put words to feelings. And I feel very identified with the things that she said. So I wanted to bring this quote from her, which is amazing. Public good at the next release, which might be a security one. It's not a stomach pain, sleepless night, kind of want to vomit. Which is really how we feel so often. So this is also us, because this is also a phrase from Sarah. I run out of steam of, I know what I'm doing. That so often we feel like, I have no idea what is going on. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is just, an illustration. And these are two characters from the movie Mary and Pippin who might seem sloppy, might seem like they mess things up, but they are really key to the success of the story, of the books. And what I want to bring here and to have you asking question is, we have this dichotomy between how the fellows sometimes are seen or described, and also how we feel, and how we sometimes feel like we might be exploding fireworks in our faces, or we are about to get into that situation. Okay, but seriously, what is the Django? What is the Django Fellow? Do you know by now? Who does by now? No one. Okay. Yes, Jacob. Yes, a board member that knows. Okay. Sorry, I don't mean, that was a little bit sarcastic. That I didn't mean to. I didn't expect you to raise your hand, so you caught me off guard. So this list is taken from the DSF call for applicants for a Django Fellow. This is the breakdown of the tasks that a Django Fellow should do. So this gives a little bit more detail about what a Django Fellow does, which is, in order of priority roughly, we handle security reports. I'm going to provide some details in the breakdown part of the presentation. We triage tickets, we fix things, those that have high priority. We review and merge pull requests. We ensure timely releases. And we also have the responsibility of engage with the community and to try to answer questions, help contributors. We also have the obligation to produce some reports about what we do. And then, basically we need to do all the unfun things that are very necessary to have a healthy open source project. So from this list, when there was the call for applicants that I applied to, I read this list and I said, I can do this. I mean, this is really a role of a lifetime. This is something that I feel I can do. In my previous job, where I was for a lot of years, I triage bugs, I engage with the community, I handle security reports, I do tons of reviews and merges, I do tons of releases of taking code from dev to stage into production environments. I advise people on how to do that, so I felt absolutely capable of I felt that I was a good fit for the position. And I want to say this, that I really, when I saw that call, I felt like that was my dream job. And I wanted to share with you, this is a quote from a cover letter when I said that when I applied. And I would say I'm honored to be a fellow right now, and I feel so lucky to have been chosen for the position. But at the same time, I had no idea what I was getting into. But yeah, I'm still happy to be one, and I think I will keep being happy. And let's go into the second part of this talk, which is about the breakdown of the tasks. Sorry. So I said that we handle security reports. This is like guarding everything that is a threat to Django. We just said stop, and we're going to defend it. Specifically, we receive security reports at a given email address or via specific platforms. We, the fellows, are part of the security team, which is bigger than the two fellows, and we all receive these notifications. And when we have a report, we have the obligation to analyze it and decide whether it's a valid report or not. If it is a valid report, we need to follow a very specific disclosure, fixing a disclosure process, which comes along with the security release, which is one of the most involved ones and stressful ones. This is one that we kind of sort of want to vomit. And there are many details to this. I don't mean to go into details because I don't think that's the interesting part of what the Django Fellow does, but I did want to share with you some notion of all the things that we need to do and take care of in order to eventually understand why some other things might feel like are going a little bit too slow, or why we need more fellows, which is something that was proposed yesterday in Jacob's talk. Then we also do, the tidy up of the things. We have to be in charge of handling all the bug reports and ticket reports. And this is very like sorting everything out and the logs and the houses and have everything beautiful. Particularly, all the issues are reported in a specific platform, which is called a track ticket system. And every time that there is a new ticket, we need to, as soon as possible, try to triage it in order to know whether that's a severe release blocking bug or not. We usually need to do some history digging or searching on whether there are duplicate tickets for a given report, and try to make sure that we have clear information in how to continue with that ticket in order to have the community going into the ticket track system and doing things for Django. But as I said, the most important thing from this process, other than that, responding to people when they create tickets, is to decide whether something is a release blocker. And that's something that I want to have another slide on in order to express the importance of that. Release blockers are something that the fellows needs to prioritize in fixing. It's right below security reports. Security reports is the first that we need to attend first, and then the release blockers. Release blockers is something that shall not pass. They should have been there in the first place, ideally. So there is something that we need to take care with some sense of urgency. So a release blocker is something that, as I said, it would have prevented a release in the first place. It's something that the fellows might likely fix or chase someone to get fixed soon. It's something that needs to be ideally solved for the next point release that we're going to make. And it always needs to be accompanied with a regression test and the regression revision. And we have some sort of different format for the commit message in order to identify those in the history. We also always provide a release note for them within commit release. The other, when we are triaging tickets, as I said, they could be bugs, and we need to decide whether that's a release blocker or not. The other type of tickets that we handle are those which are asking for things. So, we have a lot of people say, it would be good if Django will grow a garden with flowers. It would be beautiful if Django would cook my meals. So we are like, yeah, sure, I would love Django to do that for me as well. But we have a process to do that. And this is where the fellows come in. And we need to ask them to follow a specific documented procedure, which is about requesting new features, which involves the community. Basically, Django is community-driven. There is no BDFL that is dictating what to do. So the changes, whether we incorporate the lunch making or not, is something that the community will decide, trying to make the best of our judgment and committing to supporting and maintaining that. Larger features might require a specific Django enhancement proposal, which is a document very similar to the Python enhancement proposals. Other features might require to first provide a third-party app as a proof of concept of the feature. But yeah, it varies. Then the other task that we have as an obligation, as a responsibility, is to review and merge pull requests, And this is something that, while not the top of the priorities, is very important, because the fact that we rely on the Git history of Django in order to do reviews of existing features or existing design decisions, or we try to debug why something is failing, and we go to see what changes happen in the Django repository. We need to ensure that whatever goes into Django new, so whatever new is going into Django, needs to be something that follows all the right procedures, and that will then, in the future, allows the fellows and whoever else is debugging to understand what happened at that moment in time. So for any code change, we require a pull request in the GitHub project, and there is anyone can propose a PR, but there is only a reduced team of triage reviewers that are allowed, that have like a more firm word of whether that is approved or not. And always the fellows will give like a second pass to any PR in order to assure that follows a given set of requirements. The fellows are members of the review and trial team and also members of the merger team, which is a separated team. The mergers are the only ones that can actually put something into the Django main branch. Django has, because of what I said about the importance of the Git history of the repo, Django has high standards for what can go in. And the fellows are the one that ensures that that standard, that those requirements are met. Specifically, we need to go through a lot of checks when we review the PRs, which can often lead to a long iteration cycle of providing feedback to the authors and then processing that feedback. And we always need to, I mean, a review is not something that we do quickly because we need to pay attention to a lot of details. We have process checks, whether there is a ticket, how the solution is the one that was described, was agreed with the community. We have a lot of style checks in terms of how the Python code is written, how the docs is written, how the comments are written, how the release notes are present or not, and which verbs are used. There is a consistency across the Django Git history, which is amazing, and we are in charge of ensuring that that continues that way. Then there are also other checks that we also need to ensure. So once all of these things are progressing, so we have security reports and potential fixes, we have tickets about release blockers or regular bugs, and there's someone fixing those. We also have PRs that have been reviewed and merged. We are at the time that we need to share this with the people using Django, because I don't think the majority of you uses Django directly from the main repo. That would be a little bit risky, I will say. Well, not risky because Django is super stable, but I wouldn't recommend to do that on a production service. So we really need to send this and then make this available to the rest of the people using Django as a way of doing a release. Releases are something you can define as 3 types of releases. We have the releases that we do every month, which are called the patch releases. That might also be a security release. If there was a security issue reported and triaged and fixed. For security reports that might be critical, which hasn't happened while I was a fellow, we might have like an extra release, a specific security release, but that recently hasn't been the case because Django is quite stable and secure. And then we have the feature releases, which are the 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, which happens every 8 months. Okay, another task that the fellows do is this with engaging with the community and enabling the community to do things. The fellows, we are 1.5 in that. Sarah is a full-time fellow, I am a part-time fellow. With 1.5 fellow, things will not progress. We absolutely need and rely and count on the community doing things and helping and proposing things. For that, we have the task of allowing things to occur within the community. And that sometimes means keeping an eye on the forums, ensuring that everyone is talking to the right persons in terms of say, well, someone might request something in a specific area, we might tag more people into that post in order to raise awareness, or we might ping someone on the side to say, someone is asking about this. We might also welcome new contributors. We might try if we have any time left, try to mentor. There are, of course, mentorship initiatives, which I'm sure you're aware because of the different talks, and there will be a panel this afternoon about mentorship, which is very important as well. We try to collaborate with that as much as we can. At the very least, being present and available for doing the reviews of the mentees being proposing things for the first time. We are present and reading the mailing list about the Django development, the forum post. We are also on the Discord public but unofficial server, and we're also on the Slack, which is not public, sort of a semi-private server. And well, we, as I said, we participate in various mentorship programs. And lastly, the other obligation that we have is to provide reports to you all, because we're actually being paid with your money, or the donors' money. So we need to provide some accountability and visibility of what we do, how is our time spent. So we have to write a weekly report in a public place. Right now, Sarah and I have chosen to do that in the Django Forum. And we describe what we did. We describe the tickets that we triage and the resolution. We describe the PRs that we review. We describe what we have produced. That might be a release blocker bug, or a small fix, or something that was not an improvement in the documentation, or something that was needed. And we also need to, every day, we need to keep track of the time that we spend doing things, because we are hourly contractors. So we also need to produce a monthly invoice for the DSF to pay us. So, okay, so that was the first half of the talk, and hopefully this was all, despite I have my own view of things and tone for talking about something, this is the most objective description that I can build about what a Django Fellow does. I am guessing that by now you are sort of getting the sense of the responsibilities that we have, the priorities that we have, which is very important, because sometimes I know that a lot of people in the community feel that we are slow, we are not paying attention to them. And it's just because we have all the things that we do in the security reports, for example, those are not visible. You will never see them unless you're on the security team. And those take a considerable chunk of our time, and we have, that is our top, number one priority. So let's go now to the juicy bits of my talk, how I call them. This is what I call the challenges and the triumphs that we have had as a fellow. Sometimes I might use the plural because I don't want to leave other fellow outside, but some views and feelings might be my own, so not necessarily shared by the other fellow. And so I want to first think about, I want us all to think about Django, how old it is, how it started. This is something that Frank is going to share with us right before lunch, the history of Django, the age of Django, how it evolved. So in the movie there is Gandalf, which is the best wizard ever, but originally was the Grey, which is one stage of wizardry, and then because of some battle, it seems to be gone, and then he reappears as Gandalf the White. You know, it's like this. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean. Oh yeah, that's what. It's okay. Sorry. It reappears as Gandalf the White. As you can see, there is something very shiny, and like it gives you peace, and it gives you, a sense of comfort and security. And in a way, I see Django, my view, and this is really my personal view, and might relate to my work experience and work stuff, that how that happened. At some point, I thought that Django was great, had this huge spike in usage and momentum, and then it sort of fade away, at least from my view. And then recently, in the last 5 years, I'm not sure I can put a time frame to it. It felt like it was reborn, and it was reborn like more solid, more powerful, more established. And I have listed as a set of adjectives there to describe Django, which I'm convinced that Django qualifies to be called foundational and mature, is powerful and scalable, reliable and secure. It's also resilient and robust. And it's also, of course, well, has battery included. And we make a lot of effort in order to ensure easy and good and painless, hopefully, upgrade path. Those are qualities that, is anyone objecting to any of those qualities? I'm happy to talk. Well, I'm putting you on the spot. I don't mean to do that, but you can talk to me about whether you disagree. Having all those qualities in a single open source project, which is a web framework, I think it's something that I would like us to stop for a moment and contemplate that. Think about that. Think about open source software, all the challenges that are around that, keeping it going, keeping it current, keeping it secure, keeping it bug-free. It's something that is worth pausing, thinking about it, and giving it the importance that it has. And also how Django can remain that way. I mean, how does that happen? It's not magic, because despite Gandalf is a wizard, as far as I know, we don't have any wizard within the Django community. Or if you do, please let me know, because I have some requests. But so that's work. Keeping it that way, keeping it mature, keeping it resilient, keeping it secure, keeping it stable is work, and it's a lot of work. And that work is done by the community, but is, I would say, and this feel like I'm just putting me on a pedestal, but that's not really the case. And it's the fellow that ensure that all the work that is done in a way that we can keep describing Django with all those nice qualities. So this is something that we need to continue. This is something that we wanted to remain that way. Django needs to remain mature, needs to remain stable, needs to remain secure, needs to remain stable. So in order for that to happen, we have the fellows. This is my view again now. We have this weight on our shoulders that this magnificency of Django keeps that way. And it's not a trivial burden to have, because we feel like every time we look at a PR, it's like, this is a tiny PR, this is a small PR, a small code change, or a small optimization, it will be fine. But we cannot do that. We cannot say that. We cannot have the luxury to think that. We always need to think, this might break something. This will break something out there. There might be a project out there in the field doing this very niche use case, having this very niche use case of something. So we always need to think about the implications to some dark corners of the web, of how a tiny change or a big change might reverberate, might have a butterfly effect to a lot of the Djangos that are out there. I want you to think that I don't have a number. I know that Thibaut presented some numbers yesterday regarding the carbon emissions of the Django services. I don't know how many Django services are out there, but I know that there are a lot. And there are a lot that are being used to fulfill businesses, to provide, are the base, the layer for businesses model, for successful companies. So, or even not besides successful, medical companies, or I don't know. Sometimes I have thought, well, if we break Django, is someone risking their life or their health, or I don't know. I mean, that's something that when you stop and think about it, you think, wow, a small thing can have a huge impact. And so this is how sometimes I think of the fellow, These are the pillars of the king in the movie, and these are representing something that guards a kingdom. you can say we sort of guard Django in a way. And I'm not saying this just to say, oh, we're great, we are amazing. This is because it's huge, and it's a huge responsibility, and it's an honor to be trusted with that responsibility as well. But it's also non-trivial to be that, and to be able to feel like a rock, all the time. It's tough. So again, with all these things that I've been trying to share with you, and try to share it with the most emotional honesty that I can, I know that Carlton described the fellows as janitors, but yes, we do janitor tasks, but I also see us as custodians. We are curators, we are facilitators of the community, we are housekeepers. We do a lot of housekeeping. We also are safeguards and well, orchestrators in that we have a lot of moving parts that we need to try to make sense of, and have all those parts working together well and in synchrony. I think that we need to be generalist engineers. We need to understand a little bit of everything, not in, well, ideally in depth, but there is no way to know everything, in depth. So we need to be, while being systematic and being able to prioritize our work and understand what we're going to do next, and understand or try to decide what is the best use of our time. We also need to have a lot of many hats, because when you have a ticket report, it might be about the ORM, it might be about a UI, an accessibility issue, an UX issue. It might be, I don't know, something about something that is not properly said in the documentation. So we also need to have, well, for me it's more difficult because English is not my native language. I need to, well, understand whether the change makes sense, is better in English or is not, or is better say the word that is said. So we need to have all those different roles, and all of a sudden start to grow in all that knowledge, and a little bit of SQL and HTTP, and then we also need to know JavaScript because the admin has some, and CSS. And like, why? Yes, we also need to know that. And I mean, this is not like a negative thing, no? This is great, because all of a sudden I'm pushing myself to learn all of these things. And every time that I have a ticket report, try to understand a little bit more about something that is related to that ticket report. So a little bit more of JavaScript, a little more of CSS, a little bit more of the ORM, or how a specific database backend works, and all that. But you can see that we sort of shuffle things around, and we need to morph, I will say, or change hat very often. So in a way, we sometimes have sort of like multiple personalities, because on the one hand, we need to be these enablers and welcoming people, saying, yes, come to the community, come work, yes, contribute to Django. The community is great, which is independently of what I'm going to say next. But at the same time, we need to be these guards, and say, no, this does not belong to Django, this is not secure, this is not resolution, this doesn't have this is not well documented. So I think that sometimes people, community see us like sort of a Smeagol and Gollum mix, and yeah, I think that's accurate. And then something that a very strong struggle that I have, Natalia, the Django Fellow, is this decision-making process and this prioritization process that we need to constantly wonder about what to do next. Not because there is no clarity on what to do next, because there is so much to do next that all the time I feel like I have the ring and I'm not sure whether to throw it or to keep it to myself, because there is the appealing in both actions. So and the constant need of prioritization, it's really something that is the biggest burden, at least to me. And I have all these questions that I would like to talk to someone. Right now, I of course talk to Sarah, and that helps enormously. But I have this, with reviews, what do you do? Do you grab the oldest one, and that contributor might be already Mia, MI, or disengaged, or bored? But it's the oldest one, is the one that has been waiting the longer? Or do we grab the most recent one, where the contributors are engaged, are energetic, and they want to do more? So if you provide feedback soon, early, they will do more. I don't have that answer. So if you have ideas, I'm happy to hear them. Then also we have, the PRs, and I said that the importance of how a patch, a given revision needs to be tidied up, the comments, the length of the lines, the punctuation, the verbs, how pedantic we need to be, because there are small things, more perhaps grammatical, not even errors, things that you might say differently. Do we correct those in the light of having this amazing tidy up history that Gandalf can read in the future and understand that the ring that he found is the ring? Or do we just make allowances and in order to ensure that the people contributing, the person contributing, does not feel that you're doing everything wrong? Because that's how I felt when I started doing PRs. While being a fellow, I started doing PRs contributing to Django, and I was like, the reviews were, you're doing everything wrong. Let me rewrite everything for you because this is wrong, you're missing things. I don't know, I don't have that answer. And well, of course, this translates as well in a fair sense of frustration from the contributors. They get frustrated, and they sort of, some more than others, pressure us into do things. I understand why they end up in that place. But it's hard to deal with that. And in a way, we are this catch-all layer because we are paid, and I understand that. But things that do not have like a resolution or a clear path forward, we are asked what to do with that. And I'm like, no idea. I don't know. Can I do this? Or how is this resolved? Or all those sort of things. So like a pause here. There is a current initiative by Jacob in order to grow. Well, the fellowship working group has been created, and that needs a little bit more structure and have people defined to be part of that with specific roles. That will certainly help me at the very least into resolving or having someone to talk to about all these things. So I see that as a very positive thing, and I'm looking forward for that to be implemented or released. I'm not sure what's the word, but yeah, it's not everything is as bad. Okay, so the last part of the talk. Sorry, I have a few minutes left, which is we need help. Yes, we have been saying this like the four whole 3 days. How you can help? Well, first of all, I want to talk about the community and why I chose the title. I already say why I chose the theme of the presentation, but I didn't say something that I chose this picture to represent how I see the Django community. Leaving aside the perhaps questionable lack of gender variety in that image, because we don't really know how the characters identify themselves, but there is a diverse crowd there, because there are many races, there are very different capabilities and knowledge and goals as well, that at some point they get together for a specific mission with a specific goal, and they succeed into doing that. So this is how I see the Django community. We are very different races, different ages, different backgrounds, different strengths. And I have seen the Django community being able to get together towards a common goal, which is, having Django growing and being successful at that. So in a way, this is goal in the movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, but this is the Fellowship of the Pony, because we are the Fellowship Pony. We are the people that get together and work very hard, but because if you see how hard they work, it's like, they went through some stuff in order to fulfill a common goal. So the community, I see the community as an amazing place. The community is a safe place. They're key to Django growing, Django being what it is today. I don't think the fellows have any key part in that. The key part is keeping everything tidy, right? But they actually growing, they actually substantial contributions to Django are being done by the community, which are like these orchestrators to ensure that that goes into the right place. The community is very friendly, it's very welcoming. I have felt welcome from the first moment. I was in a way an outsider because I applied for a fellow, not being contributed to Django in the past. So I can see now, after being a fellow a year and a half, how that might have been like a very awkward, I mean, someone that hasn't been participating in any community discussions, in any community forum, without producing any Django PR, all of a sudden it's a Django Fellow. I can see how that was a shock to many people. And yet I felt extremely welcome by everyone. So I'm very, 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 very thankful for that. And, you know, the community is this place where I feel safe, and I'm hoping that you all feel safe as well. It's a place where you can count on other people and you can rely on other people, and you can be honest. I don't know this. I don't know how to do that. Can you help me? And I'm don't have the energy to work on this right now. I need to pause it. And I have seen messages like this, and I have seen supportive responses to that. So I think that's worth mentioning in a slide. I'm a little bit over time. I will try to wrap up quickly. I have a few things that we can improve, which is about onboarding processes. I see a lot of disconnect between the ticket track system and where we host the code. I'm not saying that we need to sell our soul to Microsoft and be completely on GitHub. I'm not saying that. I do think that the disconnect between the two systems is a huge issue, especially for new contributors. So I think that we need to do something with that. I'm not sure why, but I would like to discuss. And then we have, for the fellows specifically, we have a notoriously lack of automation for things that could be automated. And I think that that will make our life easier, and that we will have a little bit more time to do all the things that cannot be automated. And then we have this thing which is called the consensus process for accepting a new feature, which I will describe like as a mess. I don't understand it still, and I don't think it's working. But it has been a few conversations in the forum about it. So if you're interested, you can go to the forum and find them and perhaps share your opinion. Well, and as I said, the fellowship working group has been started. I would like to see that progressing, hopefully quick here. But yeah, I know that everyone do collaborate when they can. So what you can do, of course, you can contribute to the project, do triaging, do reviews of PR, write code, write docs, help us build automation. If that's something that you are familiar with and you are skilled with, please help us. And you can also contribute to the community by just answering new users or engaging and sharing your opinion, your view, helping decide whether something is good for Django or not. This is really, I chose this image for this slide because the prancing pony is an inn in the movie where the hobbits go to feel safe. So this is the message that I want to convey to you all, which is you can feel safe in the community. You can go and be part of, independently of your background or your seniority in Django or in life or whatever. You can go there, and above all, you can also join the working groups, and there will be very soon a call for new board members, and a little bit after that, a call for new steering council members. So please pay attention to those and nominate yourself if you feel like you want to help with the community. And then the other ask that I have, the other call to action is for, in a way, the DSF board, which is about, I feel like I need a clearer process to make decisions myself and the community. There are a lot of things that are undecided and unresolved, and those are not being resolved in any way. And we have a lot of trail of things that are hanging there, just unresolved. And I really need that we need a decision-making body. What is that? How does that look like? I don't know. I would love to be part of that conversation, but I think that something needs to happen, whether that is an engineering director or, executive director or a working group, I don't know. But this, I think this is something that we really need to work with. And last, donate, please. Yes, Jacob said all about it. Also, please be mindful of the PyCharm campaign that we currently have. As it was already mentioned, if you buy PyCharm, it will be at a discounted price, and all that is gained from that, it will go to the DSF directly. So the final slide, and Lord of the Rings is a fairy tale in a way because it has a happy ending. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling that to you. It has an ending, you know. It has like a story, and it has an ending, and it's a good one. And what I want to emphasize here is that Django is a fairy tale, but I don't see the ending because it's not happening anytime soon. It's still current. This is still going on. So we have our fairy tale, which is ongoing. So I think that I want us to embrace that and to enjoy it and understand that we are part of that fairy tale and that we are a key part of key characters in that and enjoy it and keep doing what we do. Thank you.